Guten Tag, motherfuckers! Welcome to Cooking for Grown-Ups. I'm Devin Niederhauser. Oktoberfest is here, so today we're going to be making a traditional German Rouladen. Let's get it going. Alright, so for today, our Rouladen is going to be made with this flank steak. It's about a 2-pound piece here. I've got some thick cut bacon, white onion, a jar of whole dill pickles we'll use as our gherkins. I'm using spicy brown mustard because that's my personal preference for this recipe. I've got salt and pepper, and then your handy dandy ball of butcher's twine. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to fabricate down our flank steaks to basically be one long flat piece. Now luckily, while my wife is trying to save the earth one straw at a time, I can cook rouladen. So I'm using these glass straws as a guide to keep my knife from getting an uneven cut, and this is going to kind of just give me a good guide at what depth I want to be cutting at. So we're going to start working our way across. Start butterflying basically is what we're doing to this piece. First, we'll par cook our bacon. So, I'm not cooking my bacon crispy. I'm cooking on a little bit lower heat than I typically would. And I'm cooking it about halfway. The reason being is we're rendering out all this bacon grease. Alright, so we have our skirt steak. We have it all butterflied out nice and even. The first thing we're going to do is throw down some mustard. Alright, we got our mustard rubbed in. We're going to hit it with a little salt and some pepper. First things first, we got our onion diced up. We're going to sprinkle that in. Alright, we're going to add our sliced dill pickles. You want to make sure that we're putting those with the grain of our meat, because eventually once this is all cooked, we're going to slice it this way. And lastly, we got our par cooked bacon. And now the magic happens. Alright, this is where we're going to get slightly sexual. Let's talk about BDSM in your meat. I'm going to go right here underneath, towards one side. I'm just going to tie a double knot right there. I'm gonna make sure to try. And that's how we start. You see the piece that I've cut, it's fairly long. I'd rather have too much than not enough. I'll slide her underneath again. Come up and through, keeping her tight. And we'll repeat that all the way down. Ka-chow! Now that we have her tucked in nice and tight, we're going to take a paper towel and we're just going to make sure that our exterior is nice and dry. What that's going to do is help us get a good sear on the outsides. Dry it off, hit the exterior. Salt. And pepper. And we're ready to sear. Alright, so we have our bacon grease reserved in the pan. Get that nice and hot, and we will add our rouladen. All right, so while you're cooking this off, you want to make sure you're preheating your oven at 350 degrees. Okay, once you're seared up on all sides, you're going to put it on a drying rack on a sheet pan. That's going to ensure that you have even airflow around the entire rouladen. Into the oven, 350 degrees. Nighty-night. So while that's in the oven finishing up, we're going to go ahead and cut up some vegetables and make a gravy out of our pan drippings. So we have all the dripping stuck to the bottom of the pan. That's a good thing. Don't clean that. We're going to go ahead and add our vegetables on top of that, using that leftover bacon grease.
Once you have those vegetables nice and sweaty, those onions are starting to look translucent. We're going to add about 2 ounces, I'll call it 3.5 of tomato paste. Once your tomato paste is nice and mixed in there, we're going to go ahead and add some beef broth. Just enough to get to the top of those vegetables. And then we'll mix that nice and good and mixed. All right, beef broth added. We're going to bring that up to a nice simmer. We're going to let that cook down a little bit. Add some salt. We're going to go a little heavy on this pepper here because we want to make sure we have good spice to it. While I have that simmering down, I'm going to go ahead and pull our rouladen here from the oven. Slight firmness, you want some pushback. Just follow the general rule of rare to medium rare on your thumb here. We're going to let that rest for about 20 minutes. All right, we've reduced this down, so now you see it's like a sauce-like consistency. We're going to go ahead and move this to our mixing bowl. We've got it in our bowl. We're going to go ahead and use an immersion blender, or some people call it a hand blender. And we're going to go ahead and make this into a fine liquid. All right, so we have our vegetables pureed in our sauce. We're going to go ahead and get a strainer. And we're just going to strain out all the solid bits. Now that our sauce is strained, we have a nice smooth sauce here. We're going to go ahead and add it to a new saucepan. All right, we're gonna bring that to a simmer. And once we're there, we're gonna add a little bit of a slurry. That's just cornstarch and water. It's best to start small because you add too much, your sauce is ruined. Make sure we mix that in there. So once you have that to a good sauce consistency, you're gonna go ahead and kill the heat and pull it off. Okay, now while it's hot, right after we pull it off the heat, we got some diced up butter. We're gonna go ahead and add a couple of those and just keep stirring it in. All right, so our meat is rested, our sauce is finished. It's time to cut this bad boy open. So first we're just gonna take off our string.
Das Baby hat eine Waffe!
Alright everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Cooking for Grown-Ups. That is how to make German Rouladen. Happy Oktoberfest. May everybody's harvest be bountiful. Tune in next week for another recipe. Make sure you fill the comment section up with whatever you want to learn how to cook. And as always, I'm Devin Niederhauser, signing off.